G'day, welcome to the Happy Families podcast. Kids, screens, devices, and school. How do we make the call when the school says, your child is now old enough to have a device and we're struggling with whether we do or don't want them to have one? All of a sudden, that decision is taken from us. Today, it's one of your tricky questions. We answer that next.
We're Amy, Sophie and Kate, identical triplets and the sisters behind Outspoken, the podcast. Our mum had her hands full raising us and now it's our turn because, all three of us are new mums too. But just because we look alike doesn't mean we see everything the same way. That's why we've started the Mums Group, a new podcast about the good, the bad and the very TMI of motherhood. It's honest, messy, funny and just like having your own Mums Group on tap. Search the Mums Group on the free iHeart app or wherever you're listening now.
Hello, welcome to the Happy Families podcast. Real parenting solutions every single day. It's Australia's most downloaded parenting podcast. We are Justin and Kylie Coulson. We're parents of 6 daughters. And today, it's another tricky question. Here's how tricky questions work. You send us a voice note to podcasts@happyfamilies.com.au, or alternatively, you can jump onto happyfamilies.com.au, scroll down to the super simple system, press the record button, and start talking. It's that easy. Let us know what's on your mind and we will do everything that we can to answer the question. Today's question, Kylie, comes in from Luke. Unfortunately, there's something that went wrong as he was recording the voice note, so we've only got the first half of it, but we know where it's going. We know what it's about. Here is what Luke wants to know.
G'day, Justin. My daughter's recently started a great little Christian school. It's a great little community, but one issue I have with the school is it has a bring your own device policy from kindergarten. During my interview with the principal before sending my daughter, I raised my concerns about the use of technology at the school, and he started referring to some of your work as how they guide their decision-making around using technology. I understand that you are against bring your own device policies from primary school.
Oh, and unfortunately, after that, the recording kind of died a little bit, Kylie, but Luke's basically saying, kindergarten, first year of school.
I have never heard that.
It happens in some schools. So I don't want to throw the school principal under the bus here. And there's so much nuance in what's really going on with kids and tech in schools. You're looking at me with eyes wide open like, oh my goodness, what's he going to say? This is going to be bad. I just don't think kids need devices in kindergarten, full stop, end of story. I think there is zero justification for it. I'm so sorry to the school leaders who are not aligned with me on that one. Now, Luke did say very carefully, well, I don't know if he was being careful about it or not, but I certainly heard care in his words, using my ideas to guide technology policy. So just because kids have got devices from kindergarten, my ideas to guide technology policy are even more important if that's the case, because my big idea is keep it out of their lives for as long as you possibly can. But if you want to use good ideas to guide technology policy, let's talk about some of those right now. Kylie, any initial thoughts though? You're just looking at me like you're, I didn't tell you what the question was going to be today. I brought you in here without highlighting it. Anything on your mind?
Just like I said, I've never heard of kids in kindergarten having to bring their own device, firstly.
Yeah.
And secondly, it just feels like, I might get in trouble, it just feels like lazy teaching.
Yeah, I'm not going to throw the teachers under the bus or the principals here because I know how hard they work. So let's talk about these issues. First off, there are some schools who are bringing technology into kids' lives very, very young. The best schools in the country, and I'm speaking a lot of principals' conferences around the country, my experience in speaking with them is that the best schools in the country are reducing and even removing devices, especially from the early years of school. So I would suggest that there's a stronger argument for removing it or reducing it than for bringing it in, particularly in those first couple of years, those first 2, 3, 4 years of school. Really concerning. The second thing that I would say is this. The central reason that I'm opposed to early BYOD usage or early kids on screens is because it introduces conflict and tension at home. Like you've got this child who you didn't ask for the device. The school has imposed it on you. Now you're going to have your child wanting to use the device, not just for schoolwork, but for usage that stretches well beyond what the school has advised. And now this becomes a parenting problem that you didn't ask for. You didn't invite it in, but now you're stuck with it. And to me, that feels like an unfair imposition that a school places on a family. I just don't think that's fair. The last thing that I want to highlight before I get into the educational aspect is this. we have got dozens, literally dozens of executives at the biggest technology companies in the world who send their children to schools where there are no devices or there are strict controls around devices. Overwhelmingly, they know what these devices do and they do everything they can to keep their children away from them. So they're quite happy to take our money. They're quite happy for our children to become compulsive users of the software and the hardware that they've developed, but they absolutely don't want their children on these devices. And many of them will even admit that they were brought up in homes where there were very strict rules around screens and device usage because their parents were worried about it, and they are too. So they're my basic comments before we step into the education stuff. I do really want to emphasize that there is nuance here beyond what I've just said. So after the break, let's step into what research shows about kids and tech in schools. Stay with us. We're back. It's the Happy Families podcast. Today we're talking about kids, tech, and schools.
So is there any evidence that devices in primary classrooms is actually beneficial?
Well, I would be saying, is there any evidence that BYOD is beneficial and kids taking those devices home? And there just isn't. But even in the school context, there are too many variables. And the answer actually goes both ways. The answer is, and I know that everyone hates when I say this, but it depends. What do I mean by that? So what makes for a great learning environment? We want children who are going to be involved in higher order thinking. We want children who are going to be involved in collaborative work. We want kids who are going to be evaluating and synthesizing and explaining and presenting and wrestling with ideas and exploring ideas and all those kinds of things. So you can do all of those things without screens, and I would argue you'll usually do them better without screens, but you can do all of those things with screens. You can do all those things with AI. And I don't mean you get AI to do it. I mean, you get AI to give you some output, and then you sit down as a class or you sit down as a group and you go through the additional research. You go through the evaluation. You pull a whole lot of different resources together and synthesize them and come up with a cogent argument. And kids can do this from early primary years. It's obviously got to be developmentally appropriate. It sounds like I'm talking about senior students, but you can do these kinds of higher order thinking tasks at a developmentally appropriate level with kinder, first grade, second grade, third grade kids.
But to what end?
Well,
what are we trying to achieve?
That's what education's about. It's about presenting ideas and getting kids to wrestle with them and play with them.
At 5?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. It's fun. I'd much rather them be playing outside and climbing, but you can present them with different social situations and help them to learn how to resolve conflict. You can put them into all kinds of delightfully challenging situations at any age and watch as they collaborate and problem solve and develop solutions. That's called learning.
Yep. But at that age, they're always like hands-on, face-to-face.
Correct.
Is always going to be better.
I would argue that it's going to be better as well. Research shows, though, that really intentional, careful teachers can use technology to amplify and improve the experience. My concern is that for the most part, that's not what happens. I mean, we've got a daughter who's being homeschooled, and a lot of the work that she has to do, according to we use Yuka, hashtag not sponsored. In fact, I'm about to really bag them out for a second. A lot of the stuff that's in their curriculum that's done on screens is mindless, frankly, I'd go so far as to say useless work. And we just have to get it done because we've got to get that box ticked so that we can say that we've completed the curriculum, so that the people in the government organisation that monitor homeschooling know that our kids have been doing their homeschooling work. So we're using tech because tech is the vehicle, but it's not beneficial. We do much better work with her away from the tech. She does really cool stuff outside of that. And then we've got to upload it all into the text so that we can prove to them that we've done all this other work. What am I really getting at here? I don't want to waffle too much. Let's get back to the question. Luke, I would be saying this. Can the school demonstrate the value of having the technology both in the classroom and at home? And can the device stay at school if there is no value to bringing it home? If there's value, then go with it, work with it, and set defined limits around it. But if the school can't genuinely demonstrate value, then I just don't buy it. I don't think that there's a need for us to have technology in classrooms, especially from those first couple of years of primary school. I think that it's not ideal at all.
For me, it actually comes down to a value clash. If this is ironclad, this is what's expected, and it goes against everything you as a parent believe and feel is good for your child, no matter how great the school is,
Yep.
it actually feels like it's not the right fit for your family.
Do you know what? I'm listening to what you're saying there, and I'm thinking, if our kids were starting a new school and the teacher said that all of our first and second and third grade kids were going to be on devices, I'd be finding a new school. That might sound a little bit harsh, and I'm not telling you to do that, Luke, by any stretch. I'm not advising that. But as you've said, Kylie, this is a question of values. And based on our values, I'd just say no.
Every day we're placed in positions where we have to make decisions. There's tension points. And
Right.
and you and I are going through it right now with some big decisions we're trying to make. And what has been really, really helpful for me personally as we've done that is to actually be really clear about what our priority is. And once you have that clarity, then when you put any decision through the filter, if it doesn't meet the priority, then it's a no-brainer.
Well, Luke, we probably put the cat amongst the pigeons with that one, but thanks for your question. We love your tricky questions. If you've got one, send it through to us via happyfamilies.com.au. Just scroll down to our super simple system that we've got on the website, press the record button and start talking. Alternatively, send us a voice note to podcasts@happyfamilies.com.au. Thanks so much for listening. We hope that it gave you some food for thought, and we can't wait to be with you again tomorrow for another episode of the Happy Families podcast, which is produced by Justin Rulon from Bridge Media. Additional support from Mim Hammonds. For more info about making your family happier, visit happyfamilies.com.au.